What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video, another quick take. I got my main man, my partner, my business man.
I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. Thank you for having me again, bro. Appreciate it.
As always. All right, so we've got a very unfortunate quick take that I just found out about literally minutes ago, and I wanted to talk about this because I just did a video discussing this matter, and for it to pretty much kind of become a reality, versus conjecture, to me is kind of crazy. So we've got an article courtesy of Billboard that says Sony Music buys stake in Michael Jackson catalog, valuing rights at over $1.2 billion. The article goes on to say the deal, which is likely worth at least 600 million, includes half of the late star's publishing and recorded masters catalog. In what could be the largest valuation ever of a musician's music assets, Sony Music Group has closed an agreement to buy half of Michael Jackson's publishing and recorded masters catalog in a deal that sources say valued those music assets somewhere above 1.2 billion. Other sources have suggested it might be as much as 1.5 billion. At those valuations, Sony will pay at least 600 million for its stake of the legendary rights. That means that the Jackson deal, which closed late last year, is at a bigger valuation than the 1.2 billion that Queen is currently seeking. And whereas the Queen valuation includes, sources say, royalties from income streams beyond the masters and publishing, including from the Freddie Mercury biopic, Bohemian Rhapsody, blah, 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 blah. Sony's deal with the Michael Jackson estate does not include royalties from the Broadway play and other theatrical productions featuring Jackson's music. It says it may not, however, just be Jackson's music that's involved in the deal. Sources say the current deal includes non-Jackson authored songs in his My Jack publishing catalog, which also includes the approximately 250 song Sly and the Family Stone publishing catalog, as well as the iconic songs written and or performed by Jerry Lee Lewis, Jackie Wilson, Curtis Mayfield, Ray Charles, Percy Sledge, and Dion. And I'm just going to finish this off where it says last February, following a story first reported by Variety that the Jackson deal was being negotiated, Billboard estimated that the iconic artist's estate earns about 75 million annually. Those assets include ownership of master recordings, publishing for Jackson's share of his songs, his My Jack publishing catalog, and revenue from merchandise and royalties from theatrical shows featuring Jackson's music at the time. Okay. So basically, the reason why I'm so bothered by this is because and to give you context, bro, I did a video yesterday talking about Miles Teller from Top Gun Maverick and the Divergent franchise. He was cast to be John Branca, who was Michael Jackson's longtime music attorney for the majority of his career. So I would say from Off the Wall towards maybe I would say somewhere in the 2000s. I'm not sure when he was fired, but he was Michael Jackson's attorney. And, throughout that, Michael Jackson was establishing himself as an owner. And that was when, in 85, he purchased the Beatles catalog, as well as all those other artists that I just mentioned, their catalog for $47.5 million. And Michael didn't have a good relationship with Sony, in the latter, part of his life. And from what his makeup artist was saying, or what she tweeted the other day, about the news of Miles Teller being cast as his attorney, that Michael was fighting his way out of that deal again in his later years. So to see that all of that work, all of what it took to become such a powerhouse in the music industry and to become an owner of such a broad catalog, to me is very sad, especially for Black people, where it's very hard for us to own things. You know what I'm saying? To really have generational wealth. And I feel like, again, like his life's work is now in the hands of people who never valued him in the first place. Again, he didn't have a good opinion of these people. His last album, Invincible, that came out in 2001, these people, they didn't even promote the album correctly. You know what I'm saying? Like, just from top to bottom. And his whole relationship with them was murky ever since 1990 or 1991, where he negotiated a new a new record deal. So he basically renegotiated his record deal. And then in the mid 1990s, I would say 94, 95 was when, you know, he merged his catalog with theirs. So originally when he bought it, it was the ATV music catalog. And then when he merged it, it became Sony ATV. Now that shit is just Sony. You know, so it's their shit now. So it's like you're giving it to people who are like sharks, and they're already fat business tycoons. They already got everything. So now you literally gave them, you know, the freaking basically the pinnacle of like the greatest entertainer, the collection of his master recordings, everything, and this is all the other artist catalogs that he owned. So it's just very sad. And one thing that I said was, and I'm assuming these people, so it says with all of the economic returns the estate is delivering, the masterminds behind it, lawyer John Branca. Okay, yeah. So I think if he was as close to Michael Jackson as he would like people to believe, I don't think he would ever negotiate a deal like this. I don't think he would have ever done that. You know, if he, and mind you, bro, Michael Jackson fired him eventually. And then somehow, you know, again, I don't know the details or anything like that, but basically somehow he finagled his way back into the Jackson circle and then made it so that he is now the executor of his estate. So he's basically in charge of everything, along with somebody else, a guy named John McClain, but he's in charge of all this shit. So if these decisions that are being made, really he has the say so because he's the executor. Michael Jackson fired him. So if you were so close to Michael and you were working for his interests, there is no way that even him not being here, you would make a deal like this. You know, so what I really want to ask you, because I know, you know, you're not obviously like the biggest Michael Jackson fan, as in like you don't really know that much about him. I would kind of, you know, really call you somebody that you know his songs and you know of him, but you don't really know him, you know, on the level that I do, and let's say other fans. But what I want to ask you is, what are your thoughts on this, given the context that I just gave you? And then also, how would you feel if, let's say, I was your music, you know, attorney, and I knew that you had a bad relationship with your record label and you spent the last years of your life trying to get out that deal because you knew that these people were after you for the music that you own. And when you pass away, eventually, as soon as I could, I sold all your shit back to them. How would you feel, bro?
You know, I'm gonna use this our favorite term right now. I'm not a businessman. I'm a
Business,
businessman.
man.
That was Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
He's unfortunately long gone. Everybody else is the executors of his estate. This guy, they look at it as, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. So essentially, what I'm saying is, people often get greedy, right? And you know, in terms of Michael Jackson, he's the biggest artist of all time, in my opinion. You know, I'm not too well versed like you are.
Right.
I know that when it comes to human greed and money, a lot of people get greedy. And now that Michael Jackson is gone, a lot of people who have the influence and stand to gain a lot more are around to make those decisions. And they're not looking out for the best interests of Michael. They're not looking out the best interests of his family. They're looking at the best interests from themselves. That's all businesses. And you know, I'll say this: I'm not mad at Sony. You know why? Because they're a business, and they're gonna do this regardless. You know, these people got money to make, and if they see and they realize if we own Michael Jackson stuff, Michael Jackson is one of those artists that our children's children is gonna know about. They're gonna listen to Beat It, Thriller, you Leave Me Alone. They're gonna listen to Billie Jean, all of this stuff. So they're looking at like the money we're gonna make is well worth paying, you know, $600 billion for his catalog. So my thing is, I'm not mad at Sony. You know who I blame? I blame the estate, because these are the ones that have the power to say no, and they're the ones that fail to realize that they're playing a short game. They're not thinking about the long term. They're thinking about the short term. And a lot of people, when they see, okay, if I broke it down to you like this, right? And I remember somebody was it was Michael John White. He was doing an interview, right? With DJ Vlad. He talked about this. You know, when you're a producer, when you're a director of a project, and you oversee these projects, you don't get the maximum downside that an actor would get, right? So as someone who's in front of the camera and behind the camera, he says, when I'm a director and producer, I'm the one that I may not get that, 50 million paycheck at the beginning, but every time that movie gets played, every time someone downloads it, every time somebody buys it, that's money in my pocket. Where actors don't get that. So the executives of his estate are doing the exact opposite. They're the actors. They're like, hey, I want this fat, $1 million paycheck right now. So they are not looking out for the best interest of Michael. They're looking at the best interest of their pockets and what they
Mm-hmm.
want.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what happens when a lot of artists dies. And a little quick thing, I'm not comparing him to Michael Jackson, but Pop Smoke was one of my favorite rappers before he passed away 4 years ago. But this is the exact same thing that happened to Pop Smoke and millions of other thousands of artists before him and between Michael. A lot of these people, they get their hands on these catalogs and they make a lot of money. And I need people to realize it because I don't know if you're aware, but a lot of people selling the catalogs. Lil Wayne, I don't know, Drake is one, but there's been a lot of big name artists selling the catalogs. And I think because they don't realize the long term effects of owning their music ownership. And so I feel bad for Michael because nobody's holding his legacy. Everybody's trying to get the bag, and they're not thinking about the long term prospects of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, see, so I'm just rereading just to make sure I have everything correct. So basically, so they bought half of his publishing and recorded masters catalog. And here's my thing: like, if I was in charge of Michael Jackson's estate, I'm not selling that for shit. I'm not. It's not for sale. So it's one thing that so they bought back the remaining 50% of Sony ATV in 2016. So that's not even so that's long gone. So now I'm getting it correct. So they've been bought that back. So basically Michael had 100% of it in what was it? So in 1991 the company paid 100 million to buy the first half of what became Sony ATV. Yeah. So I was right. Yeah, so in 1991 they got 50% of that. Okay? And then it was 50-50 between the Michael Jackson estate and then Sony. In 2016, they bought the rest of that for $750 million. Now they got half of his shit now. So that deal that happened in 1991, that didn't include any of Michael Jackson's songs. That was other people. So now he literally freaking sold them half of his shit. So what's going to happen? Eventually, they're going to get the rest. Eventually. Yep. So we're in 2024 right now. I would say at some point down the line, when John Branca's long gone, someone else is going to sell the rest of that. So they're going to be like, yeah, so how about if we buy this the other 50% for another 750 mil? Who's going to say no to that? And again, I think this is just really a major loss, in my opinion. Like I don't know if Michael Jackson was my dad and I was alive. And, I was privy to everything that he went through, everything that was going on and all of that. I would be very upset right now, and I would just be like, yo, what's going on? In fact, if it was my dad and I'm already like of age, I'm in charge of the goddamn, I'm the executor. You can give me some advisors and all of that, but I have the final say. So we're not going to have some guy that Michael Jackson ended up firing now back into the fold. And then he's the one making all these decisions. Because you got to keep in mind when you get fired, okay, by somebody and then they die before you ever see them again, I'm pretty sure there's a bad taste in his mouth somewhere in there. Somewhere in the back of his mind, he's probably like, yo, fuck this guy. Because he fired me. And then he just, however way he did that, maybe somebody, if you're listening to this, come in the comments and then let me know the specifics. But like I said, this is what I said in my video. And like I said, y'all check it out if you haven't already, which was when I was talking about Miles Teller being cast in the film. I said, and like you said, people are going to do what they feel they need to do to secure the bag, particularly securing the bag for themselves. And whoever they got to sell out, literally to do it, they will do just that. Because, bro, this is a guy who, an old white man who you be seeing walking around with supermodels. I'm talking about like Instagram supermodel looking chicks, and then talking about how he's gotten an addiction to Ferraris. So he looking at it like, all right, if I sold 50% of Michael Jackson's catalog for this much, and that means I'm going to net this much. So that means I'm going to be able to buy this many Ferraris with that, and I'm going to have this many models for that. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just upset because I didn't know all of this stuff was really going on until like the last like 2 days. And I didn't really have an idea as to who this man was until I got context for myself. Because when people said they didn't like him, I was like, well, why? I was like, because I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, me being a fan, I just focus on the music, the artistry, the creativity, and what I can learn from it. And, defending Michael Jackson first and foremost. So it's like, I'm just I'm just getting to know all of this shit is going on. And
Right.
Black people, we don't even own a whole lot of shit already. So Michael Jackson was, again, one of the very few artists of his time to own all his shit, and then other people's shit on top of that. And then now all of that is slowly going to who? White people. I'm just saying, it's true. It's true. This is a fact. You know what Dr.
Yep.
Umar Johnson said? He said part of reparations should be all of these Black artists, all Black artists should be able to own all of their music, and then the family of those said artists that passed away, the rights to their music should go back to their families, Black people, to keep it in-house. See, this is what I said. I said, yo, when it comes to marriage, I said, when I am a success, the best thing that I can do is get a Black woman to share my success with. You know why? Because when I'm gone, that will stay within a Black family. That will stay with us. If I were to go and marry a white girl or something like that, or somebody who's not, Black, that money is going to go to them, a people who already have everything. And this sucks because, again, Michael Jackson, really adjusted for inflation, was already damn near music's first billionaire. Really. So again, to me, this is like a major loss. This is a major freaking loss, in my opinion. And like, I don't know, the children of Michael Jackson or none of that. But if that was me and Michael Jackson was my dad and he was persecuted, the way that he was in a business sense, personally, all of this shit, I would speak out. I would be like, yo, I did not want this to happen. This shouldn't happen. But I mean, there's nothing that they could do now. The deal is already set. The lines are already signed. T's are crossed, I's are dotted. So there's nothing anybody can do.
You know what though? Because actually, during the pandemic, for some reason, I was doing a bunch of research, and his kids are set. He made his will, and he wrote down everything. His kids don't have to work a day in their life. Don't gotta lift a finger. Because I think all his children, got 100 million as a downside, and I know they get paid every year, multi-million a year from his estate. Mm-hmm. So this is the thing, and I just want to say something when you say, Dr. Umar and all that stuff. All that stuff is meaningless to me. You know why? Because at the end of the day, I know people say, I want to keep it in my culture and, my people. But it doesn't mean anything if your own people are not doing what's right by you. You know what I'm saying? So for Michael, like nobody does business the way how you want. And that's an unfortunate truth. Very rarely you'll meet somebody who has the same mindset and the same goals and ambitions as you. And a lot of people, when you die or when you're elderly, they take advantage. And like a lot of people are not the ones who make the music. Michael did. So they don't have the same appreciation that he would. Any artist who make their own rap music, create their own acting projects, do that type of artwork or whatever business, nobody can understand that unless they was grinding with them or they had the same mentality. So I think this was inevitable. You know why? Because like you said, and I said earlier, people are chasing the bag and people not thinking about the long term. I would love more Black people to own their ownership, but like Lil Wayne and everybody else is selling their catalog. Why?
Yeah,
because
they don't care.
They don't care. And I'm not going to say everybody don't care because some people don't realize how this works. And some people have to learn the hard way to understand, oh, okay, because I know he's not Black, but Vanilla Ice was talking about how, he realized, later on in his career, after his one-hit wonder that, I do more, I would get more money if I don't have to make music. I just own the ownership to all the songs and stuff I wrote. And that's why he don't need to make music anymore. He don't need to do tours like most artists do.
Who?
Vanilla Ice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he said that I realized I'm a businessman. And if I own the publishing, if I own the rights, I make money every time the song gets played. And, Ice Ice Baby, every time that's on radio, Spotify, I get a paycheck for that. So, that goes all to my pocket.
Yeah, Michael Jackson been there, thought that, executed that. So do you honestly think if he was alive right now, he would want this? Absolutely not. It's like, because it's like, what's the whole purpose of me purchasing all this music to then just sell it all back? That makes no sense. That doesn't, to me, it doesn't make, any sense. And the thing is, it's like you said, like a lot of these artists, they're selling it back because they're just playing the short game, not the long game. You know what I'm saying? Like his kids right now, yeah, like you said, they're set. And then perhaps maybe their kids are set. But you don't think, as that catalog, the other 50% is of his catalog is purchased, eventually they're gonna be fucked. At some point. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
but
it's like okay, their kids right now, his kids right now, they're benefiting financially from this shit. And it'll be enough money where then their kids will be straight. But at some point down the line, that money's going to dry out because the revenues aren't going to be there because Sony's going to buy everything back. That's what I'm saying.
oh no, I 100% agree. This is not a shot at his
Because I
kids
would
because
buy it from them. If, oh, my bad. My bad. I'm just saying. If I was Sony right now and I got you for 50% of Michael Jackson's catalog for $600 million, in a few years, I'm going to spin the block and I'm going to ask you about the other one. I'm going to ask you about the other one because now I got 50% of your shit. I'm Sony. I'm already generating billions of dollars every year. So what's another 750 mil that I just decided to throw your way? Who going to say no? Who going to say no? And eventually, again, that money's going to dry out. Me, if I was Michael Jackson, I would say, whatever you do not sell this shit. I would literally put it contractually somewhere where like legally you're not able to sell my shit because I don't want it. I don't want it to be sold. I don't care what it's for. Y'all have enough money right here where you don't need to have to sell nothing. But again, to me, it's chess. This is all chess. This is what I see. So it's like all of this is going on. To me, it's like they've been playing chess with Michael Jackson, and they've been trying to do this since the day he merged Sony, since he merged ATV Publishing with them back in '91. This is a fact. This is a fact. So when all the allegations was going on and all of that, Sony didn't have his best interest. They didn't have his best interest. So then they just milked him for Blood on the Dance Floor, History, and then Invincible. They barely pushed that because, again, in the middle of that, all the allegations and stuff like that was going on, wasn't promoted right. Only went like what, maybe double platinum, some shit like that. And then that was that. And then they put him, on the shelf. So this is what I'm saying. Like, yo, me personally, it's like you got to see like the long term. That's how you become like a top like 1% or some shit like that. That's how you really rise up. That's how like dynasties are really born and maintained. You don't maintain a dynasty by giving your shit to the other kingdom. You keep that shit. So if I have a gold mine or somewhere that I can mine diamonds or let's say vibranium, I'm not gonna go give that shit to to somebody else. So even if I was able to build something for myself in my lifetime, somewhere down the line, that's going to go. That's going to go. And the Jacksons, there isn't another Michael in that family that's going to generate that same type of revenue. So this is why something like that is so harmful. Again, like obviously I'm not a Jackson. I don't benefit from that shit. But I'm just looking at it as from the aspect of if I'm Michael Jackson and I was here and I was seeing all of this shit, or let's say if I was his friend and I was speaking on his behalf, I'm pretty sure this is how he would feel.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
what I said, because you said it don't really mean nothing to you. But for me, it does in a sense that like you do need to keep it in-house. And remember, I said it's because I know a lot. My consciousness is set up that way. So that's why I think that way. Most people, they don't really care what happens after they're gone because they're like, well, I'm gone. What do I care? I do. Because if I have, I have kids and all that shit, this is the type of stuff that you want to think about if you're going to make a success out of yourself. How can I maintain that? How can I still have a positive impact and influence on the lives of my family and other people, even though I'm not here? That's not going to happen down the line. And already, they don't do anything with Michael Jackson's catalog anyway. This is what I'm saying. So you're giving his music to people that weren't doing shit with it anyway. We got one real Michael Jackson album, Escape, in 2014. That was the last time, over 10 years ago. You look at Prince, you know what I'm saying? They always come out with new Prince albums and shit like that with demos, unreleased content, all this other types of shit. Michael Jackson stuff, we don't get anything. And then the stuff that we get is whack. It's whack. We got, what is it, like a Halloween album or some shit like that with it, or just a re-release of songs that we already have access to. Thriller, Somebody's Watching Me, Scream, This Place Hotel, Torture, Dirty Diana, like that's it. So they just re-release the same songs that are already out with just what, a new album cover. That's so all we get is new album covers. We don't actually get any music. That's my problem. We're not selling it to people that actually care about Michael Jackson. They care about his legacy. They care about maintaining that shit. Because the biopic that's gonna come out, there's no guarantee that they're gonna get that shit right. So then what happens? Okay, so if I'm John Branca, right? I not only got the bag for myself, I secured the bag for myself. I stabbed this man in the back yet again. I sold 50% of his catalog to people he wanted no parts of. He wanted no business with. I'm the producer, executive producer of the biopic that they're gonna do. I hired a A-list celebrity, the most famous person in the goddamn movie, to portray me. I'm probably going to use that actor to take credit for everything that this man did in his life. Get the movie wrong. Movie's gonna be a box office bomb and shit like that. Michael Jackson's legacy is gonna take another hit. Okay, then the stock is gonna go fucking down, and then in about 5 years, people are gonna want no parts. Sony's gonna come back and say, "Well, okay, you guys are doing bad right now. You know, you're probably gonna need some more money. How about another 600 million? I take it for the other one. I take it for the other half." Okay, then they're gonna sell the other half. Michael Jackson's legacy again takes another motherfucking hit because now his shit is in the hands of the motherfucking enemy. I'm just saying straight up. I'm saying straight up. That's just what it was. What's his name? Tommy Mottola. Michael Jackson had beef with the CEO of Sony for a very freaking long time. He wanted no parts of these people. If he had any associations with them whatsoever, it was because contractually he was obligated to them. But he was trying to finesse his way out. And unfortunately, he couldn't do that in his lifetime. But the fact that they still had 50% of what he purchased back in 85 and then 100% of his music, that means even though he didn't accomplish his goal of getting out from under these people, my family still has something. And you mean to tell me now all of that's going to be gone? I can't help but assume that Michael Jackson is rolling around in his grave right now. I'm just saying. Oh. Because if I'm and come on, man, you can't help but not like you can't help but agree. Because this is facts. I'm just saying, the enemy. This is not like people that love Michael Jackson that I see have been doing things with his music and all of that shit. We don't get nothing. And take it from the biggest Michael Jackson fan you will ever meet in your entire life. We get nothing. We don't get anything. People be like, yo, the estate, what are you guys doing? We got Thriller 40. That was a trash documentary. Mary J. Blige got more screen time than Michael Jackson did. I watched this shit. I was like, yo, I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning to watch the latest documentary. And it was trash. It was trash. It was garbage. Okay, and I said, this is the best you guys can come up with? They didn't even get a real director for this shit. They got a music critic who has publicly criticized Michael Jackson in the past many times. They got a Michael Jackson hater to direct a Michael Jackson documentary about Thriller. And he got it wrong. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And John Branca don't care. He don't give a damn. Because he don't like Michael Jackson anyway, because he's looking at it like, yo, Michael, I worked for you for 20-something years, whatever, and you fired me. Okay, so now you know what? Now that you're not here, I'm going to finagle my way back into your life, into your estate and shit like that. I'm going to control everything, and then slowly but surely, I'm going to sell everything that you worked for back to people who hated your guts, for trying to be something more than what you were, for trying to be more than just an artist, greater than just an artist. This is a fact. I'm just saying, like, yo, this is why you keep your shit in motherfucking house. Because when you share your shit with people that don't care for you, that don't even look like you, this is what's going to happen. It's not only about what you do in your lifetime, it's about what happens when you're gone and shit like that. So if I'm a pharaoh or some shit like that, I want my shit to go on. I want my kids to still be in power long after I'm gone. And let's say in terms of Michael Jackson's life, that's how you would do it. That's how you would do it, by keeping all your shit in house. So if like I said, I'm gonna let you go ahead. But if I was Michael Jackson's son, I would come out with a statement, and again, it's nothing he can do because I know he can't come out of pocket and try to buy the shit back. He don't have $600 million. So, but anyway, I didn't mean to rant, but go ahead, bro.
Yeah, no, you're right. And this is what I was saying. When you say keep it a house, I 100% agree with that. But unfortunately, we live in a very
short-minded, short-sighted society with short-sighted people who don't care.
And like I said, nobody's going to appreciate the hard work you do unless they do it themselves. You know what I'm saying? And I think Michael, he is rolling in his grave. And, I feel bad for his kids because they probably don't know all the legal stuff going on. So, it's up to the adults, the people with the power to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of people, even your own people, snakes don't have a certain color, and I think a lot of people are caring about themselves because they like, hey, 700 million, I'll take that, but they're
Yep.
not thinking, like say Michael Jackson, the money that could be made for everybody involved for generations to come. And that's unfortunate, because a lot of people aren't educated on this, or people get greedy and people don't want to work. And it's easier to mooch off somebody and make money the quick way than work hard and keep that legacy in house. And $75 million a year don't sound bad at all. But for some people, they'll take the 600 and get, I don't want to have to do anything else. I'm done. I'm going to retire. I'm going to Cancun. And that's it for me.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's going to keep happening until people. And I'll say this real quick. This is why certain people have a very limited circle, and this is why when it comes to business, people often have a very tight or a certain mindset. Is because they know that, yeah, just because you're family, just because you grew up with somebody, you've been buddies for forever, don't mean you're looking out for me if something goes wrong. And you see this all the time with people's grandparents, even Michael Jackson, and it's going to keep happening with artists who may not be as famous, but still make a lot of money. People only look out for themselves a lot of times, and unfortunately, the people who are looking out for the best interests of Michael are being overwritten by people who have more juice and power than they do. So I'm not shocked. This is going to keep happening, and to be honest with you, I'm not too shocked because I knew at some point somebody's going to be like, "Hey, I need the bag." I'm thinking about myself, and that's just because we live in that society where it's all about me and not about we.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. But me personally, man, this is a major loss. So if Michael Jackson fans, if you were ever hoping to get like some new releases, some new albums or some shit like that, we're not going to get it. And if we get something, we're going to get some AI trash. So like the Michael album from 2009, we're going to get some fake ass Michael Jackson songs. That's what we're going to get. That's exactly what we're going to get.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know. I just wish that more like hopefully, because this news just came out again like within like the last couple of hours or some shit like that. So hopefully more people will come out and speak out about this. But like I said, once the signatures are there, transaction is done, it's over with. And there's really, there's really, nothing we can do. But for anybody who does aspire to like own things, to have generational wealth and shit like that, don't give the shit away. Play the long game, not the short game. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to, be getting, freaking $1 million allowances every month, however much, they get and stuff like that. So when you hear news like this, it's all good because, I look at my bank account, I'm still seeing, seven, 8 figures in there. So what do I care? But in reality, it's like down the line, the Jackson name is going to get minimized and smeared because that, like, to me, I'm like, yo, like if this was a movie, this is not a good ending. This is like the Infinity War ending. It's like Thanos, he got the Michael Jackson Infinity Stone, or he got half of the shit. He got half. They put that shit in the Infinity Gauntlet. He's like, whoa, yeah, and he's gonna come back to get the other half. He's gonna come back to get the other. That's a fact. Because if I was a businessman and I was Sony and I didn't like Michael Jackson and all of that, then I was able to finesse y'all. Because that, first of all, that catalog was worth way more than $600 million. That is one. So that is a finesse. Okay? If I finesse you guys for $600 million to give me half of this shit, because I'm going to make way more than 600 mil down the line. I'm going to generate way more than that down the line, just passively. Like you said, it's like, yo, if you own enough songs, you don't have to make music anymore. You don't got to go on tour. You could just chill at home and then just get the checks. It's like residuals and shit like that, but for music. Because I know they get it like semi-annually or something like that, like once a year, once every year and a half, they get their royalties and all that shit, in the mails. You didn't even have to do anything. I would spin the block, like, yep. So, I see, the Michael Jackson name is not, doing well. The biopic, it flopped, So, so how about it? You guys want to, and let's say it's like 2029. Yeah. So how about, you guys want to, give me the rest. I'll give you guys another, 600 million, 750 million. Okay. All right. How about 775? Get that shit. Then literally they could minimize his shit. They could put out the wackest shit and then literally make him look bad. So now cinematically, there may be a chance that they're gonna make him look bad. And then there's nothing we can do as fans but try to defend, and like, come to his aid socially in terms of his reputation and try to clean up the mess. And then there's only but so much we can do because the damage has been done with 50% of that shit gone. And again, they're going to take the deal. Trust me. I already feel it. They're going to take the deal. They are going to take the deal. Because, right? All right, honestly, ask yourself this question, bro. Like, if somebody told you, like, yo, I'll give you $800 million for this thing, and aren't you going to take it? $800 million. $800 million. And then take some time. Don't just give me a knee-jerk reaction. $800 million. You as a regular person right now, would you turn down 800 mil?
Oh, absolutely not.
And let's say they're trying to buy something from you that you don't really have that much of an attachment for. Like, this isn't something that you're like, so like, there's not real sentimental value to you for it. Aren't you gonna sell it?
Show me the money.
Exactly. If it don't mean shit to you, right? And these people, they're like, yo, I'm so detached from, at that point in the game, at that stage, whenever that happens, they're gonna be so detached from, from Michael Jackson. Ain't gonna sweat them. They're gonna be like, oh, hey, give me 800 mil. Again, my kids gonna eat, but down the line, again, that money's gonna go. Because at that level, when you're living a certain lifestyle, that costs. And if you don't have the income to subsidize that, what's going to happen? You're going to have to lower and lower and lower and lower. And then before you know it, 100 years from now, Michael Jackson is going to be, unfortunately, not where I think he's supposed to be. Not where, he's always been in the minds of, fans and artists, creatives alike. You feel what I'm saying? And this is a major loss. This is like checkmate right now. So it's not was it? No, yeah. So it's check. Right now it's check. Because in chess, it's like if you move, if one of your pieces puts their king at risk, they're now in check and they have to move out of position in order to get out of check. But eventually it's going to be checkmate because they're slowly but surely taking all pawns and other pieces off their shit. And eventually all that's going to be left is the king. And then they're gonna take that shit. They're gonna tip it over. They're gonna give him $600 million, and they're gonna take that motherfucker too. So anyway, but that's my thoughts on that, man. But what are your parting thoughts for on this topic, man?
Yeah, the bottom line to this is, people, whether you're a rapper, actor, business owner, whatever, you gotta do your due diligence and think about the long-term aspect, because I think a lot of times people off the short side. They don't think about the 10-year goal. They don't think about the 15-year goal. We live in the now. And I think that's the downside of our society. Everybody wants instant gratification. If you own anything, I have a podcast now I love dearly. I wouldn't sell myself short on it because that's something I work hard for. And unfortunately, people who aren't that close or have some sentimental value to something, they don't care. So, look out for the best interest of yourself. Like we always say, I'm not a businessman.
I'm a businessman. I'm a businessman. But shout outs to, all you Michael Jackson fans out there. We will stand strong in solidarity. We're going to keep moving forward. I'm here for y'all. And on that note, please be sure, as always, to like, comment, subscribe, check out my other content on the channel, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.